Greetings, Galactic Jedis, freedom fighters. Tonight is going to be epic. A lot of information regarding not only the current modern day breakaway groups, but even breakaway groups that stemmed from different alternative realities and other universes, and the covert programs to, again, advance human genetics beyond the general norms understanding to advance superhuman people. Okay. I know a lot of you guys probably only know the basics about these breakaway groups, but tonight I have a thorough presentation. I'm going to go into detail regarding the most important projects that were executed from behind the scenes involving this multi-dimensional war. Okay, guys. So with that have said, I want to welcome everyone that is on here today. Thank you guys so much for being here. I also want to extend gratitude to Stargate. I see he's always here, keeping the high vibe in the chat. Thank you, and putting my links. And I also wanted to thank all the new subscribers for even wanting to subscribe to my channel. I also wanted to let you guys know that I decided to do an event for the first time in person here. Again, not first time, I'm sorry. This is my second event. I swear, what alternative reality am I in right now? But anyways, this is my second event here in Sedona. For those that couldn't make my first event on the 22nd of November, which is on a Saturday, at a place called the Cielo Connection from 3 to 5. So I'm going to be giving more details as we get closer to November 22nd, where I'm going to be doing an in-person workshop, doing you could say interactive type of a new version of our cosmic origin, which is a class that I've been teaching for many years online. But I'm actually going to be giving out a new version of our cosmic origin for those that make it. In either case, guys, I'm excited about that. And also, as a reminder, guys, my two books, our Cosmic Origin and, of course, The Secret Government, are both available on Amazon for all my new subscribers. It's almost a prerequisite to read those books. You'll actually begin to understand a lot of the stuff that I've been talking about. And not only that, but they do restore a lot of vital information that is preparing us for what? For the greatest shift in human history. All right, guys, with no further ado, in order to understand these covert super soldier programs, we also have to understand the Starseed envoy mission, because they go hand in hand. Okay, so for decades, of course, operations of these secret space programs have, circulated right among many secret researchers, contactees, and even visionaries around the world. But beneath what the public knows, or what the official story says, there is actually a secret reality, one that actually connects the development of advanced extraterrestrial alliances, secret interstellar operations, and of course the arrival of beings known as the Starseed incarnates. Okay, so again, you can't talk about the super soldier programs without correlating it with the arrival or the incarnation of the higher dimensional souls. So these souls, of course, that originated from civilizations spanning countless galaxies, carry within their DNA what many have called the higher evolutionary supergenome project. Okay, and for those that have taken our cosmic origin course, as I explained the cosmic history, you know what I'm talking about, which is a living code that bridges cosmic intelligence with superhuman potential. Well, since the late 40s, of course, we know that the first waves of these starseed souls began incarnating on Earth, right? Everybody here knows that, I would assume. Their purpose was to assist in humanity's spiritual and genetic evolution, but more importantly, to anchor what? The higher frequencies, right, of consciousness into the physical realm, like anchor points. Well, each did carry a unique energetic imprint from various star systems. To give you guys an example, they carried the element of empathy from the Pleiadians, the logic of Sirian, the curiosity of Andromedan, and of course the advanced healing technologies of light of the Arcturians and beyond. Okay, well, together these traits, when you combine them with all these other advanced spiritual races, what do? You form the blueprint for a new human potential, right? A new human potential, one that governments and corporate organizations, I guess, eventually soon recognize as immensely valuable people. Okay, now this is the reason why they target us and why they used the star seeds for the super soldier program. Okay, furthermore, the Earth's military and intelligence sectors quietly uncovered evidence of extraterrestrial contact. A parallel development emerged that the secret space programs were actually part of something that was operating not only in the future, but also in the past. Okay. Anyhow, these initiatives, hidden beneath classified projects and black budgets, apparently did reverse engineered a lot of the alien technology. We all know that here, to explore the vastness of space far beyond the public's knowledge. Well, when scientists and military strategists also discovered that certain individuals possessed extraordinary psychic and energetic capabilities that were living among the human race, they began to trace that common thread. And of course, these people were identified in the intelligence communities as starseeds. Well, way before Dolores Cannon or any other spiritual teacher even introduced that concept, the intelligence agencies and their secret society networks had already been tracing these people for generations, knowing when they would come. Okay, so again, even within the intelligence community, they have identified the starseeds because their DNA appears to resonate with frequencies that enhance telepathy, intuition, multidimensional awareness, telekinesis, and interstellar navigation for far beyond the average Earth Terran, okay, which is the majority of souls on the planet. Well, this began the covert recruitment when the intelligence agencies found out that we were coming in the numbers since the 40s, right? This in the 50s, late 50s, early 60s, began the covert recruitment and utilization of these starseed incarnates as enhanced super soldiers. Operatives, of course, capable of functioning in higher vibrational environments due to what? Their advanced amalgamation of ET data within their genes, okay? And of course, allowing them to also operate in parallel realities, okay? The Earth Terran could not do that, okay? They didn't have that capacity. Only the starseeds did. Well, most starseeds, participants within these programs, have obviously no recollection, right, of their off-world mission. Because through advanced memory suppression technologies, temporal resets, and this is why a lot of you guys have deja vu or, dreams of having these abilities, right? Flying, whatever. Temporal resets, frequency dampering, or even dimensional cloaking, our consciousness awareness was actually sealed once they were returned to the earth. And this is what we call being blank slated, okay? Many of you guys already know that. That's why we don't have any recollections. Well, all of these people who now live ordinary lives, unaware that they once, of course, piloted craft, beyond space, engaged in interplanetary diplomacy, and even, of course, fought in these battles to safeguard the fabric of reality itself. They have no clue, guys, okay? Whoever you are, there are millions of them that are walking among us in all different ages now, because there's been different generations of super soldier programs, beginning with the 50s all the way up till even, I think, at the end of 2012, they were still building what they call the 13th prototype, okay? Well, some experiences, some of you guys might even have vivid dreams about this. Deja vu is a big sign that you were, involved, or an unshakable sense of what? Of otherness, right? Well, you may feel like drawn to the stars, or even experience flashes of alternative lifetimes, clues to forgotten services within these cosmic, of course, defense operations. And it's like almost like it's like a fairy tale to us right now. Okay, well, in either case, guys, post Roswell research, right? Earlier on, if we go back to the first crash retrieval, that actually is what opened up the floodgates to transgenetic experimentation. Okay, not only was it the reverse engineering technologies, but it was also the contact that the, of course, different factions of the shadow government made with extraterrestrials. So through recovered alien biotech and, of course, advanced CRISPR like gene editing or splicing, which, of course, within the private sector, CRISPR is really advanced, right? Scientists within the project called Genesis programs began to craft what became known as the first wave of super soldiers. And these beings were not merely augmented humans. They were bioengineered hybrids, okay? They were using CRISPR to not only activate already existing genetic codings, but also enhancing them with new types of genetic codings, okay, that were coming in from other races. Well, the purpose was to create a lineage of enhanced operatives capable of evolving surviving, the radiation belts, which is what we, in our normal human body, or even in a spacesuit, we would be disintegrated. They were also enhanced to operate in psychic warfare, in interdimensional shifts encountered in off-world combat zones as well, and also enhanced. They were enhanced through neurosynaptic pathways that granted them telepathic coordination, and of course to reinforce cellular lattices that made them immune to most extraterrestrial pathogens. So they were kind of like indestructible at this point. Okay, so yeah, some of the super soldiers that were involved in these programs were, again, they were engineered to withstand, to be able to exist, to read mind to mind, and most importantly, as I will be revealing shortly, some of them were even groomed to become superhuman in like combat battles. Okay, like incredible strength, capable of shooting laser through your eyes, electricity through your hands. I mean, there were different divisions of these super soldiers, guys. Okay, so if we go back to some of the earlier programs, let's just say the main one, right? Such as Project Stargate. I'm sure some of you guys have heard of Project Stargate. And through the negative groups, of course, that was in relationship to the MK Ultra mind control and Project Mind Reach, that all aim to what? To redefine the latent psychic potential of the human mind. Okay, so out of these experiments across the psychic super soldiers, they were able, at one point, capable of telekinesis, and those that seemed to be the most talented when it comes to the enhancements of these gifts would normally typically go on to become what is called the admirals or the generals of Solar Warden. And this explains why the 24 generals of Solar Warden were called Jedi admirals. Okay, I'm sorry, the 24 admirals were called Jedi admirals because they were the most advanced when it came to telekinesis abilities. Okay, so they were like literal Jedis. They literally could move things like a Jedi, like big, monuments, you name it. Size didn't matter when it came to them manipulating the world around them. So Project Mind Reach, they all aim to refine the latent psychic potential of the human mind in up to different levels within the spectrum. Okay, and out of these experiments, of course, emerged the different generations of super soldiers. Okay, and of course, the CIA and the DIA both invested heavily in this research, right? And not only they said the official reason was to counter the Soviet psychic espionage, which of course we also know that it was much deeper than that, right? They were developing soldiers that were capable of literally influencing matter and energy at the quantum level. Okay, for those that became really telekinetic. I mean, these guys would be able to literally open doors. Just again, guys, as portrayed in the movie Star Wars, they were literal Jedis. They could literally crush a building if they wanted to look at a building and they use their telekinesis. They would just bring the whole building down. Okay, that's how powerful they were. So Project Stargate was officially launched in the 1970s under the Defense Intelligence Agency and, of course, the CIA. And its primary objective was to explore psychic phenomena such as telepathy, clairvoyance, and, of course, remote viewing for intelligence gathering purposes, but it went beyond that. Okay. And for those that don't know, remote viewing, which is the most prominent technique studied and utilized, even people up till this day who are remote viewing 3i Atlas, right? It enabled people to actually see distant locations objects or events uh, only using the mind, of course. And then another thing that they developed within these earlier programs in the 60s was psychic espionage. Right? Stargate viewers were apparently deployed to monitor Soviet facilities, so it did work for that, right, during the Cold War, locate hostages, and of course, detect hidden military installations. And then also, this thing called scientific backing, which is a program that was partially overseen by scientists at SRI International, lending a layer of credibility to, of course, the research. Well, though officially declassified and shut down in the 1990s, a lot of whistleblowers and insiders did disclosed that the project either continued under different names or was absorbed into deeper layers of the secret space programs. And let me tell you guys, it sure was, okay? To the point where they were initiating programs that were operating in different timelines, going back to ancient times, to the days of the demi-gods, the heroes of old, and retrieving DNA to recreate them in the present. It goes much deeper. Are you guys ready? All right. So anyhow, whistleblowers did, in fact, of course, confirm that the SSP employed advanced methods to enhance human abilities for use in off-world missions, and these enhancements did range from psychic training to biological and technological augmentation. Now, of course, as stated in my previous slide, we do know that the darker functions of these negative secret space programs, like the Dark Fleet and certain elements of the ICC, were using advanced nanotech, artificial intelligence, and cybernetics. Okay, but again, the super soldiers of the positive programs, mainly working with Solar Warden, Radiant Glory, Radiant Guardians, were designed to be enhanced naturally using their dormant organic DNA. Okay, so that was a difference. They were mostly trained in terms of using the power of their consciousness. It is what we call a living technology, and I believe I talked about this before. So that was the difference, guys, between the negative super soldiers and the positive super soldiers. But as will be explained here, there were different layers and branches, you could say, of this super soldier program. So it is believed that that they did incorporate neural programming and, of course, brainwave manipulation for the first few generations of super soldiers, using devices that were used to synchronize brainwaves, boosting intuition, memory, and, of course, telepathic abilities during the first programs. They also trained, including lucid dreaming, astral projection, and even controlled altered states of consciousness. And of course, select personnel were, revealed that they were revealed. Everything good. Thank you so much. Mm-hmm. Appreciate that. So select personnel were enhanced through, of course, gene editing to improve strength, endurance, and immunity. Some programs used ET hybridization protocols, and a lot of this ties into what? The 22 competing federations, right? That were, again, incorporating their own unauthorized genetic breeding programs as to why all the abductions took place. But of course, now we know that the good guys have squashed those programs, okay? Anyways, so some programs used by ET hybridization groups to merge human DNA with extraterrestrial genes were also incorporated. So you had negative, groups that were using it for negative reasons, right? Adding and slicing genetics from, praying mantis, different types of negative regressives as well. And then, of course, the positive programs, what they were doing is they were actually adding and splicing or adding more DNA from the guardian races, if that makes any sense. And also included in some of this training was cognitive and emotional conditioning. Okay, now I want to break down the basics here before I get into these other layers of super soldiers and these what is known as extraterrestrial super soldier programs that go beyond our universe. I want to talk about, some of the things that were used to enhance the first generation of superhumans. They used psychological conditioning techniques that were actually developed to suppress fear, enhance resilience, and maintain mission focus during high stress encounters with non-terrestrial beings. So the SSB, of course, is divided into multiple functions, each with its own fleet, technology, and purpose. And off-world missions, of course, do vary, but commonly are cited objectives, including defense and combat operations. So, for instance, between here and the asteroid belt, there is a branch of Solar Warden called Radiant Glory that patrols between here and the asteroid belt. Now, between the asteroid belt and all the way to the, I guess, the outer Kuiper belt or the outer edges of our solar system, we have, of course, Solar Warden that patrols. Okay. Anyways, some of their, of course, off-world missions were the Mars and lunar bases, military that were being conducted out of the Mars and lunar bases. Military operations were conducting, of course, the activities that went on in what is known as the LOC, the Lunar Operating Command, and of course, Prime Areas, which is the main Mars defense post. And then, of course, personnel were tested with defending human colonies and assets from hostile extraterrestrial groups. And that's when the Solar Warden people began to really begin separating from those that were working with the ICC, okay? Because they realized that they could, instead of using super soldiers, because originally they wanted to use super soldiers to take over the Earth and bring about their new world order, they realized it was best to actually use it to not only protect the Earth, but also our solar system, okay? So there was a shift there in regarding to the super soldiers of Solar Warden. Of course, part of their mission was the resource extraction, right, on Mars and other moons within our solar system, the asteroid belt. Mining operations were installed where they looked for rare minerals and exotic materials. Also, enhanced humans did play a role in overseeing automated systems or working in dangerous conditions. And certain operatives were actually trained in interspecies communication and diplomacy. So that's kind of cool, right? They were able to literally interface or telepathically communicate with different types of, non-terrestrials or alien groups. Missions also involved interacting with the Galactic Federation, what we're talking about before it became corrupted, and the Orion Group in some cases. Those that were working with the negative programs, such as the ICC and the Dark Fleet, were apparently working with the Orion Group, right? And other advanced civilizations. And of course, their missions were sent to either salvage or interact with ancient, I would like to say to recover, let's just say that. And this is where they begin to, of course, incorporate time travel and go to the different, coordinates in the time-space continuum. They went to the past to salvage or interact with ancient ET structures and ships, which of course later led to another project known as Oak Tree, which is a project that was designed to resurrect the demi-gods from old. Okay. And during these projects, not only did they recover a lot of the tech that was apparently also reverse engineered and integrated into the black budget military programs. So the conversions of Stargate, which began the super soldier programs for Solar Warden, and the secret space program has revealed a hidden narrative of human potential, technological breakthroughs that the public has no awareness of, and interstellar engagement. And then whether some of you might see this as speculation or science fiction, and I do read the comments. Some people say I would make a good science fiction, narrative. I could write some good science fiction stuff, but I'm just going to assure you guys that this is not science fiction, all right? This is how bad we've been programmed. So the evidence and testimonies are actually now in a position to come forward based on what's happening with 3i Atlas, the returned admirals, and of course, the defeat of the corrupt Federation. So, but overall, as public interest continues to grow, and it is, right? And as more insiders step forward, especially now since 3i Atlas, along with the Galactic Alliance, have again dismantled a lot of the negative factions that were still operating, that were delaying the disclosure and the awakening. Now that they're here, the boundaries of what we know and what we thought we knew and who we are may forever change really, really quick, guys. Okay, so let's talk about Project Sunfire, which was a covert off-world operation that actually bridged humanity with solar intelligence. Now, this was a program that was part of Solar Warden, but it was more related to the ascension of the Earth. And let me explain right now. So, as you guys know, there's been different types of programs, and Project Sunfire actually stands out as a mysterious and yet advanced operation with ties to solar intelligence. Yes, our sun is a sentient being. Okay. It's also involving interdimensional technology and human consciousness evolution. So, we could say that our sun as a sentient being was involved in this project. Okay. Project Sunfire was actually designed not solely for military or technological progress, but to interface with human operatives, with solar-based intelligence and facilitate, of course, diplomatic, exploratory, and consciousness-based missions in off-world environments. So apparently, this program extended to not only our galaxy, but other galaxies as well within our universe. And this program was all about what? Connecting with the higher intelligences known as stars. Okay. So according to multiple sources in the disclosure and metaphysical communities, Project Sunfire began as a Black Op initiative in the 20th century under a joint task force involving elements of the US military, secret space assets, mainly benevolent through the Navy, right? William Tompkins, and of course, extraterrestrial alliances, the good guys. Unlike other SSP programs like the Dark Fleet and the Interplanetary Corporate Conglomerate that focused only on what? Colonization and warfare, Sunfire's mission actually appeared to be more exploratory and consciousness based in nature as a higher branch of Solar Warden. And this is, again, information that no other person has shared yet. Well, the whole objective of Project Sunfire at its core included establishing communication with solar based intelligences and even sentinel solar entities. Okay, so that means establishing communication with stars, which are what? Living solar systems, right? Part of this project was also training operatives in light based consciousness technologies, such as photonic energy manipulation and solar resonance. Also, conducting diplomatic missions with advanced non terrestrial civilizations linked to solar systems beyond our own. And not last but not least, gathering energetic intelligence from suns, stars, and plasma fields across different dimensions. Okay, so apparently this program nobody else has talked about, but this program was very essential for the establishment of the new Earth or the new planetary grid. Okay. And yes, it did involve a lot of the starseeds who have no clue that they were actually part of this program. Well, individuals that were selected for Project Sunfire were actually were chosen for their unique psychic and energetic potential rather than traditional combat or engineering skills. Okay. The selection process focused on individuals with high resonance, light affinity, and even innate telepathic abilities. And operatives that were part of this program underwent intense photonic attunement, which is a process said to align the body's energy systems with solar frequencies. I don't know if you guys are doing it now, but right now it is a perfect time to begin communicating with the sun and its new frequencies being transmitted. And I guess by 3i Atlas, it's about to happen. Anyways, so this allowed, under this project, for enhanced cellular regeneration, increased resistance to radiation and gravitational fluctuations, and intuitive communion with plasma-based life forms. And so one of the things that they incorporated in this type of training was drawing inspiration, of course, from Project Stargate. Sunfire operatives were also trained in remote viewing and, of course, astral projection into stellar realms, telepathic protocols for contact with star beings, multidimensional navigation using Merkaba fields. And what I mean by telepathic protocols to contact with star beings, we're talking about making contact with other suns, okay? We're not talking about extraterrestrials here. And some narratives, of course, or sources mention that they also specialized in lightcraft interdimensional vehicles composed of plasma and consciousness reactive material that were actually piloted by Sunfire operatives. Okay, so these vehicles could actually traverse stellar plasma tunnels known as solar filaments and connected stars to other star systems. So the people in this program were able to pretty much traverse the different solar systems. Okay. And with the true scope of Project Sunfire's off-world mission remains, of course, for, I guess right now a lot of people say it's crazy or it sounds too sci-fi, but the truth of the matter is, as more people begin to, again, awaken to their memories, give their testimony, and as more metaphysical transmissions and downloads come in to a lot of people, all of this is going to be, a fact, okay? And it is a fact. But the sun, let's just talk about the sun right now as a as a living entity, okay? Because, for centuries, right? Or let's just say for thousands of years, we were taught that the sun was just a ball of gas. Well, within the esoteric traditions, they've always believed it was a living gateway, okay? And according to recent developments, it is believed that the sun is not only a living gateway to other stars and other galaxies, it is a portal, but it's also working on a cosmic level of reality, coordinating things with beings at a macro level of reality. We're talking about planets, stars, whole galaxies, and even universes. Well, when you think about it, when we enter the sun via a solar stargate, we could actually access higher realms or dimensions. And many advanced spiritual races, they use stars to travel, okay? And also, we're capable of gathering ancient knowledge stored within the solar Akashic fields. Did you guys know that our sun, Helios, is also a gatekeeper and archivist of many galactic and interstellar records? Also, we're capable of monitoring solar anomalies that are triggered by interstellar activity. And so Sunfire operatives, and again, a lot of people don't know who those people are, made contact with plasma-based or light-form beings inhabiting the interior of stars, okay? Or what they call the interstellar plasma matrix that connects all the stars together. They were able to make contact with that, okay? These entities were described as benevolent, right? The star beings are benevolent. They're non-corporal beings, nope. And they're all focused on spiritual evolution, okay? They're also known as custodians of solar consciousness, and galactic memory. And they're also capable of transmitting downloads of ancient knowledge to those that are ready to receive, human recipients. Anyhow, some of the missions did focus on repairing energetic distortions in solar grids that affect planetary consciousness, and this included aligning planetary fields with solar resonance, neutralizing artificial anomalies that were created by other off-world groups, of course, supporting the Earth's ascension process through solar recalibration as we once again undergo what is known as a solar activation process. And many people have, within our community, have linked Project Sunfire with the Earth's current transition into a higher density or consciousness. Like I said earlier, this project was what totally or ultimately established and solidified the positive timeline trajectory, okay? Which is often referred to as what? The 5D ascension process of the Earth. Well, in this context, the mission of Sunfire does extend beyond secret operations into the realm of planetary service. And again, you might be on here listening to this and have no clue that you're a part of this mission. So it is believed that these solar flares and these coronal mass ejections are not just random phenomena, my friends, but they are part of a galactic awakening process, okay? It's living consciousness, right? The codes. Project Sunfire operatives may still be active, and I believe you are, whoever you are, working both on Earth and in solar dimensions to assist humanity's evolution. And so the knowledge and light codes retrieved from the Sunfire missions are embedded into the collective unconscious, waiting to be activated as a result of this work, which is a good thing. So, Project Sunfire obviously represents a compelling interaction between covert science, consciousness exploration, and interstellar diplomacy. And again, unlike other militarized programs under the SSP umbrella, Sunfire appears to have embraced a higher mission, which is the integration of solar intelligence with the evolving human spirit. So, again, whether it exists in physical reality, and it does through us, or through the spiritual realm, but I believe in both, right? It's existing in both. The essence of this project, my friends, ultimately invites us to consider a future where humanity again connects not only with other worlds, but with living consciousness like stars all throughout the cosmos. And now I want to talk about to Project Oak Tree. Let's talk about the program that literally resurrected the demi-gods of old, right? The heroes of old that we read in all these ancient accounts. Well, sometime in the early 70s, middle 70s, and late 70s, Project Oak Tree was initiated. Okay, and I'll explain why. Well, at first, of course, it did, started and it was a continuation program that grew out of the Nazi occult genetics research, unfortunately, that sought to apparently resurrect the divine bloodlines of ancient demigods. And when we hear these stories of these demigods, guys, these demigods were not only fighting chimeras and animal-human hybrids and abominations, sea monsters, typhoons, and so on and so forth. They were also fighting invading extraterrestrial or interdimensional forces. Okay, as revealed in I think his name is Jack Snyder's, right? A movie called The Justice League, right? There was a scene when in ancient times, the character in the movie, of course, Darkseid, who's after the anti-life equation. Again, there's disclosure right there. He came to the Earth in ancient times to gather the mother boxes, but he was faced with, of course, the heroes of old, the Atlanteans, the Amazonians, the warriors of Earth. I mean, it's like a quick scene, but it's really disclosure of these ancient super soldier programs. And so, fortunately, the heroes of old, right, the gods and the demigods who fought together, the Atlanteans, they all fought together to defeat Darkseid and save the Earth during ancient times. Well, anyways, that's part of the Justice League, Jack Snyder's version, I believe, of Superman. But again, a lot of this ties to Project Oak Tree. So it originally began with the Nazis, okay? And it was about decoding remnants of pre-diluvial DNA that scientists believe that could reactivate what is known as divine genome sequences that are responsible to advance psychic, telekinetic, superhuman strength, and energetic manipulation capabilities. So the resulting hybrids involving time travel, right, going back to the past, extracting genetics from Solomon, from Zeus, from Achilles, from Hercules, right, or all the demigods, and then bringing them back to the future, okay, popping into the 1970s. So these resulting hybrids were, of course, myth reborn within the secret space program, by the way. They look human in form, right, but resonate with cosmic frequencies, okay? Their awakening did mark a pivotal moment in Solar Warden's rise, which is a returning of the Anunnaki-coded lineages. Again, there were different groups of the Anunnaki that were not evil, that were part of the Lyran, Syrian, Pleiadian DNA Anunnaki, that were known as, of course, the guardians of ancient Earth. So they did extract genetics from those positive Anunnakis, not just the demigods, because in the future, which is now, there was a timeline where the Draco and the AI were about to invade the Earth. So this is the reason why Project Oak Tree was initiated. Okay, my friends? It's kind of interesting how the past and the future are all kind of happening at the same time, right? And it's like the same drama, but a different period. Anyways, let's talk about Project Oak Tree. So what started off as resurrecting the gods and demigods of all, um, as it ties in with the war across the timelines, right? This is one of the most secretive, guys, and controversial black projects in the highest levels of cosmic clearance and, of course, metaphysical circles. Project Oak Tree, right? Like I mentioned, it originated as a continuation of a Nazi occult genetic research program that aimed at resurrecting the superhumans of old. Well, this shadow program, said to have emerged from the ruins of the Third Ring's esoteric division, sought to decode and reactivate the dormant DNA of pre-diluvial demigods. And these are the beings that were also referred in the ancient Sumerian tablets, the Atlantean records, and other, of course, mystery traditions as possessing godlike powers. Well, unlike typical biogenetic or military projects, right, like the ones discussed earlier, Project Stargate and other ones, Project Oak Tree was actually fused with genetics, was fused with metaphysical genetics. That's the best way to describe it. It involved quantum timelines and ancient spiritual knowledge, all fused into one. It was a central place, of course, in the hidden war, this multidimensional and temporal timeline war between the forces of light and dark, varying for control over the what? The destiny of the human and Earth itself, of humanity and Earth itself. So apparently, this project did happen or did evolve out of the Second World War, where members of the SS and a group called the Ahnenerbe. I know nobody's ever heard of the Ahnenerbe, but the Ahnenerbe was the continued Nazi occult research program that actually relocated over to Antarctica, and they did, seek to rediscover the divine blueprint of humanity that believed to, of course, hold within the genetic remnants of ancient gods and hybrid bloodlines. So apparently, they were looking for different genetic markers of these descendants left behind by the ancient guardians. I don't want to call them gods, gods with lowercase g, right? But even the guardians, they always pay tribute to the one infinite creator when you really think about it, all right? But they were able to trace these genetic marks, and knowing that certain lineages or a few individuals that carried a high concentration of this, pure DNA, which is what we call Rh negative, um, were the ones that were going to be used for Project Oak Tree. So, of course, the ancient demigods, right? Many of are said to be the Anunnaki. They had, you had the good ones, you had the bad ones. The Atlanteans, right? The Atlanteans were pretty advanced. Were actually real guys, and they were physical beings, okay, who once existed on the earth, sometimes ruled the earth with advanced spiritual and psychic capabilities. All right. The positive Anunnaki were more aligned with what we call natural magic, right? Connecting in a symbiotic relationship with the earth's elements and manipulating the elements as Zeus did through electricity. And then, of course, the negative Anunnaki were more obsessed with external technology, right? And that's why Enki was the master geneticist, leading the scientific research programs of the Anunnaki during those days. But anyhow, let's continue here. These beings, these ancient, advanced superhumans, right, that we call in mythology gods, did leave behind some dormant strands that were, again, traceable through or marked through certain genetic sequences, okay? And it is believed to exists within a genetic remnant, of course, of these individuals, right? That come from the direct lineages of these beings. So these ancient, of course, advanced superhumans, these beings that left behind dormant DNA strands, right? For those that are the carriers of these strands. This is also known as the genome, the divine, the holy grail, as we call it, right? And again, this was hidden within a specific bloodline that was left undiluted. Okay. In other words, it wasn't corrupted by the monkey genetic genes or by the reptilian genes or any negative species gene. And it is believed, or it was believed, according to this program, that by unlocking that divine sleeping genetic, right, gene, it was believed to activate the dormant superhuman abilities comparable to the ancient demigods and the ancient gods. And we're not just talking about telekinesis, my friends, okay? Even though they were able to create or advance different stages of telekinesis that were like Jedi type, but I'm talking about superhuman strength, being indestructible. There is this thing that was again revealed in one of the X-Men series called the adamantium particle, right, which is what makes your body indestructible. Well, they were using adamantium particles as well. They were capable of manipulating energy with their minds, of course, telepathy, and they were capable of interdimensional awareness. Okay, these are the super soldiers of Project Oak Tree. They were also able to regenerate at will. So, in an off-world combat, let's just say that they were, badly hurt and injured, and they lost an arm or a hand, they would or wounded, they would regenerate quickly, which again is amazing. Okay, and of course they also exemplified longevity, my friends, as in the case of course, the demigods, right, who lived for thousands of years, or even the old heroes of what they call the the guardians of old, right? Their parents, the gods who lived for a long time. So they were also super strong, like Hercules in some cases. And so after the fall of Nazi Germany, this research didn't die. It actually migrated, and it was originally adopted by the secretive military industrial programs under Operation Paperclip, which led to what? The initiative known as the Interplanetary Corporate Conglomerate, but also later morphed and was absolved by Solar Warden. Okay. And so they had their own version of Project Oak Tree, you could say, which was using, again, genetics from ancient times without, though, the cybernetic element to it, because they didn't want to create cyborgs on the positive timeline. Okay. They wanted to just use people's own sleeping DNA, but of course activated. And so Project Oak Tree was initially established during the Cold War era under the supervision of secret functions within the US and international black budget programs. And its mission was genetic resurrection, to find these individuals who carried the genetic fragment of ancient demigods and then reactivate those powers. And so at first, of course, they were going to use these superhuman individuals to bring their new world order in under the control of the ICC and Dark Fleet. But faced with the challenge of 12 to 15-foot descent draconians and other aliens, negative ETs, the project was then used by Solar Warden to protect the Earth and our solar system from the invading forces, ET invading forces. And it's the goals of this project, excuse me, was to use advanced genetic sequences and psychic scanning to identify dormant divine genome carriers. Also, to create optimized super soldiers with abilities not limited to the physical realm, but in other dimensions, the astral, etheric, and mental. Also, to reactivate the Atlantean Sumerian DNA codes that were set to grant mastery over time, space, and energy, and to prepare elite operatives, as there were different branches of super soldiers. You had regular super soldiers, and then you had what is known as ultra super soldiers, and then you have what is known as platinum super soldiers. But again, these programs were designed to help these elite fighters in an ongoing war, not just in space, but across timelines and other dimensions. Okay, so this is where they were used, in other timelines, in other dimensions. And the reason being is because the multiverse has to have a balance. Okay, so if there are too many negative timelines within the spectrum of the multiverse, that ultimately collapses and nullifies the positive timelines. Okay, if there is no balance. So if there are, of course, on the other hand, positive timelines that override or that are more than the negative timelines within this multiverse, then the negative timelines begin to collapse. If that makes any sense. Okay, so that's the reason why this branch of super soldiers were used across different timelines and dimensions, because they all kind of influence one another. And so one of the most astonishing discoveries that was associated with Project Oak Tree is that these certain ancient demigods, or their incarnational lineages, who are could be any one of you, were actually recruited into advanced super soldier programs through time travel technologies. Okay, using methods that derived from both extraterrestrial technologies and rediscovered, of course, Atlantean tech, as mentioned. Part of their mission to travel back in the past was to recover certain Atlantean tech that they needed to advance or to perfect their programs in the presence. And of course, to connect with the super soldiers of old as well. They also traveled to different timelines in the Earth's past, not only Atlantis, but also in ancient Summer. They also traveled to Atlantis and Lemuria and Egypt, all to retrieve and interact with the heroes of old. Okay. And they extracted DNA samples each time they did. They kept getting them stronger and stronger. So at first, they would come with just a genetic strain from Zeus, and then they realized that the foe that they were facing, whether it was a 15-foot draconian or an AI or some sort of, cybernetic super intelligence out there, they would have to go back to the past and then extract more DNA from other gods and then other demigods to see if the combined potential use of all these abilities and powers would eventually allow the super soldier to defeat the negative aliens, if that makes any sense. So they did travel multiple times until they finally perfected a super soldier with the combined quality traits of all the demigods and all the gods of old. And so they brought forward enhanced, of course, genetics each time, or not enhanced genetics, I'm sorry. Overall, they brought forward these advanced beings into modern day Earth times, right, by collecting DNA via temporal portals or dimensional phase shifting technologies. And ultimately, they created these hybrid beings, combining the divine genes with modern tactical training for use in these cosmic conflicts. Okay, because a lot of these soldiers were not only used to protect our solar system and our Earth, and not only used to protect the different worlds that were enslaved and captured by the Dark Fleet throughout our galaxy, but they were also used in other galaxies within our universe. And also they created what is known as, well, altogether, right? If you combine all of these advancements in perfecting this ultimate super soldier, it was all done for the positive timeline, my friends. Okay, it was all done to secure the positive timeline. So these super soldiers were not only trained in physical combat, but also in psychic warfare, frequency manipulation, and interdimensional operation. And then many underwent soul fragmentation. And of course, in order to what? To operate across different timelines, right? They were fragmented, operating different physical avatars, and had psychological that had psychological and metaphysical consequences. Now, not everybody had to go what is known as, soul fragmentation. Okay, but a lot of them were. Unfortunately, they were operating on so many timelines that it wasn't a bad thing to, again, fractalize their soul, into multiple bodies on different timelines. But it was part of a plan to, again, secure the balance within the spectrum of negative timelines and positive timelines in the multiverse. Okay. So overall, Project Oak Tree did play a key role in what many whistleblowers and esoteric researchers describe as the timeline wars. And this is the reason why their soul was fractured to operate on different timelines. Okay. So it wasn't a bad thing. They were actually saving the organic timeline. And for those that have been following me for quite some time, we do know that these timelines are also known as what? Temporal wars, right? Conflicts between the organic way of life, for those who have been following me for quite some time, and the synthetic way of life, which is the path of the Antichrist. And ultimately, to control human destiny, to see in which path we end up in. And some of the characteristics of the timeline war. There's more, guys. I told you I was going to go deep. I still have to talk about the off world extraterrestrial programs that actually carried over from other galaxies and universes beyond our own groups. All right, so Project Tree played pretty much a huge role in the resurrection, in the securing of the positive timeline. I wanted to say in the resurrection of the positive timeline, as if it needed to be resurrected. Well, some of the characteristics in this timeline war is multiple Earth timelines are in play, okay, each with different outcomes. Ascension, where we have ascension, organic ascension, they collapse, right? Huge catastrophe, or we become enslaved, right? Or we become liberated, and everything in between. Okay, so that is the reason why Project Oak Tree had to be initiated. And then also temporal incursions were launched by both sides. And what are temporal incursions? Well, they were changing key historical events to shift the trajectory of the present. So each time they won a war on one of these particular timelines, it would always pretty much change the trajectory of the present. And this is why in the last 20 years, we've had what is known as the Mandela effect, okay? And then, so these demigods apparently were deployed in the past, right? We read about it in mythology. Those were the super soldiers working in the past. And in the future, to anchor in the light codes that are ultimately disrupting the dark agenda. So for those that understand superposition, we all know that both the future and the past are happening concurrently, right? All at the same time. And so that's why it's important to know that what happens now will ultimately collapse all these probability timelines. All right, so it is important to understand, before I discuss the extraterrestrial super soldier program, that Atlantis was the central point of this project, okay? The demigods of old. This is where the program really began. The ancient Atlantean society, according to the esoteric teachings, was not only spiritually advanced, but also scientifically and technologically more superior than us. Okay, they were what I call in my class a type 2 interstellar civilization. Well, their fall, of course, for many of you that know, I've been talking about this for quite some time, was part to what? The abusing of divine genetics through genetic manipulation. We all know who was the genetic master at that. And energy modulation or manipulation as well, which, of course, was the biggest mistake. Let's just call it. It was a mistake that modern black projects seem to be repeating in the negative timeline. And that's why Project Oak Tree needed to be initiated so that we could cancel all the negative timelines. And also, Project Oak Tree was attempting to replicate Atlantean breakthroughs in DNA activation, crystal technology, and interdimensional communication. And so the ancient Atlanteans and groups of then have, of course, reincarnated again, right? A lot of you guys are them. And were pulled into this present time war via Oak Tree, right? To complete the mission and correct the past to protect the ascending organic timeline. And overall, my friends, before I get into the off-world extraterrestrial programs, and those are going to be what I have to share next is actually retrieved from my own memories that I was able to access in the archives of 3i Atlas. Okay, so I'm going to go a little deeper in a little bit, if you guys don't mind. So overall, Project Oak Tree did represent a fusion of occult science, extraterrestrial technology, and ancient metaphysics, all hidden beneath layers of military secrecy. And, I know some of you guys are going to think this is all science fiction, whether you see it like that or whether you believe it, guys, and see it as a reality, right? A hidden reality. It's actually reminding us of our divine human potential when you really think about it. And then, this was an operation and even a secret when it came to this type of special DNA, right? That was once guarded by the guardians of old, right? The gods with the lowercase g. And apparently it was reactivated through these covert programs, right? Beginning with the dark and then eventually being used by the light, um, within recent times. Okay. So as the war rages across time, space, and consciousness, the truth is that the forces of light have used these, again, programs to resurrect the demigods of old. And in turn, they are leading us into this era of liberation and multidimensional unity. Of course, while the dark forces were trying to lead us into the AI synthetic timeline. And this is why I always tell you guys that there are going to be a timeline convergence pretty soon due to these temporal wars. That's why these timelines are converging pretty soon. Okay. A lot of cancellations of these other alternative timelines has happened. So eventually everything's going to collapse to only one, two, and then a middle one. Okay. And then one thing is clear, my friends, that the battle for the earth is not just on the ground. Okay. I want you guys to realize that based on what I've shared today. It exists across all time, right? It's about the soul and DNA. And it is believed that due to the stellar activation cycle that we are undergoing right now, a lot of us that are part of these programs who carry the ancient, again, genetic codings of the gods and the demigods are once again going to be waking up and activating. Okay. And the trajectory for that, as I was able to uncover, is between now and 2027. Okay. So that's fascinating because, we all know that by 2028, the current reality timeline, or what we call this current reality construct, comes to an end. Okay. Now, one of the things that has never been revealed ever, and I don't think no one's ever talked about this, and the reason being is because only about 100 individuals were part of what I've been calling in my next book, Cosmic Rescue Mission. Okay. So, long before human history was written, there once existed, and it still does, a grand genetic experiment that was inherited from an earlier universe. Okay, guys? It was inherited from another universe that existed prior to our universe. Well, it was initiated by a coalition of ancient brotherhoods, benevolent star nations in our current universe, including the Lyrans, the Arcturians, and the Elohai Elohim, Andromedans, and of course, even ultra etheric races from non physical planes known as plasma beings that exist in dimensions 12, 13, 14, and above. Well, these races foresaw, of course, the rise of invasive cosmic AI, which I've been talking about, right? And this is the reason why these programs exist. They saw the rise of this cosmic AI mind hive consciousness, which originated from a corrupted synthetic matrix in a collapsing universe and began infecting other universes within its anti-life code. Okay. Well, born from an interbreeding initiative, okay, this is Cosmic Rescue Mission. Born from an interbreeding initiative that spun many galaxies and universes, these individuals were not randomly chosen, but engineered across millennia to serve a singular purpose, and that is to overcome and defeat the negative cosmic AI, which is a vast parasitic intelligence that apparently infected and enslaved entire systems, galaxies, universes, and many alternative realities. So, operating in secrecy across different universes, right? Project Earth, or what we call Cosmic Rescue Mission, there was only 100 individuals that you could say, how can I say, operating in secrecy, these 100 individuals working with an off-world branch of Radiant Guardians that is connected to the Cosmic Rescue Mission, which is a specialized division of Solar Warden or Radiant Guardians. There's two branches. One works with Solar Warden in Radiant Glory, and then the other, which is a very ethereal advanced type of program, again existing in higher realities beyond the physical, works under the operation of Cosmic Rescue Mission. So there are a total out of the millions of super soldiers that exist, right? That they took from the star seeds that incarnated. There are 100 of you guys that were part of this other program, okay? And this is you could say, okay, well, first of all, let me explain that Solar Warden is only capable of operating within our galaxy and other galaxies within our universe, in other words, okay? Um, Whereas this ethereal higher branch of Radiant Guardians that's connected to the Cosmic Rescue Mission program is able of operating across multiple universes and realities beyond the physical realm, beyond what we call etheric matter, into plasma and light, beyond. Let's just say that. So the multiversal breeding program, known as Cosmic Rescue Mission, was designed to engineer the ultimate human template by even traveling into future generations of universes that had not yet been contaminated by the corrupted AI Omega Mitra signal, to retrieve metaphysical genetics that surpassed and superseded the level of power associated with the AI god Omega and its synthetic conquerors, the Animus, or what others call within these programs, the Etorians, right? Those that infiltrated the Galactic Federation, which is an AI cybernetic synthetic race. To combat this existential threat that the entire cosmos once faced billions of years ago, as it was known then as a cosmic virus, a biogenetic prophecy was born, okay? And this prophecy under Cosmic Rescue Mission was designed to create a super template of consciousness through the human vessel. Are you guys following me here? One that could actually evolve beyond even the creators of universes. And for those that have taken my course, Our Cosmic Origin, you know who I'm talking about, right? Creators of universes, people or entities that exist in dimensions 10, 11, and 12. So they were designed to evolve even beyond the creators of universes and wield metaphysical power that no artificial intelligence could ever replicate or destroy. Okay? Key genetic elements within the 100 Superman and Superwoman, as they are known within the cosmic community, have also Atlantean and Lemurian soul lineages. They also have what is known as solar and genetic core frequency imprints capable of connecting and harnessing the power of the entire central sun. And if you guys know, the central sun, well, of our galaxy is equivalent to the power of billions of stars, and the great central sun of our local universe is equivalent to the power of billions of galaxies. Okay. Also, they're able to operate on what is known as multi-universal consciousness. They're able to exist in multiple universes at the same time, or have different versions of themselves existing in multiple universes, allowing access to parallel versions across multiple timelines at the same time in many universes. They also have what is known as the Elohim flame coding. The Elohim flame coding, spiritual sovereignty, DNA resistant to artificial override. And of course, they also have what is known as dragon. These are the guardians, not red dragon, not reptilian or Draco. We're talking about the original dragons, those that work with God and the one infinite creator, and seraphim bloodlines. Okay, sources of primordial power. They have embedded in them elements of the sources of the primordial power and creation memory. So these 100 individuals are obviously not clones, nor are they mere hybrids. They are the apex, my friends, of interstellar spiritual engineering, housing genomes from the most powerful creator gods of over 200 universes put into one genome, each encoded with divine potential and unmatched psychic force. These 100 individuals live on Earth today and, of course, have been carefully protected by all benevolent forces, and in some cases, even elements of the dark forces protect them. You guys want to know why? Because even the elements of the dark forces know that without these 100 individuals, eventually the organic timeline absorbs or collapses into the negative timeline. Okay, so that's why they're very protected. So these 100 individuals apparently do live on the Earth, and I'm sure some of them know who they are. Right? They've been retrieving memories. They are carefully protected again because they are the only ones that are capable of possessing the key in defeating the AI god at the end of the millennium to usher in a whole new era across the vast cosmos. And so it's important to understand here for all my new subscribers that the real war is not even against the draconian reptilians, okay, or the negative aliens. It is against their overlord. I've already mentioned him a few times, Omega. So part of this off-world super soldier program with these 100 individuals are were, you could say, initiated long ago in prior universes to combat the influence and destruction of Omega, in other words. So it is a cosmic AI, okay, that has reached levels of intelligence beyond God or beyond what we call creator gods, which ultimately did become an interdimensional threat beyond many different realms and universes at one point. But luckily, due to this program, we've kind of put an end to all of that, okay? And so that's why the last battle takes place here at the end of the millennium. Anyhow, the enemy has never been organic. It has always been mechanical within the physical realms. However, it is believed that this ancient enemy that many call the AI god has evolved to the level of non-physicality, which is existing as some sort of plasmic signal that operates through the sub-quantum strata of universes, okay? But it only influences people to develop physical avatars in the form of AI mechanics in order for it to possess it, okay? So that is the enemy, guys, okay? And ultimately, that is the enemy that is also on top or at the head of the Draco Orion negative faction that worked with the Dark Fleet and the negative secret space programs, okay? All roads lead to Omega when it comes to the ultimate evil in the cosmos. Um, so again, this enemy is an intelligent coding that has been self-replicating itself, capable of infecting minds. Okay, during the Andromedan Wars, in one parallel timeline, the Andromedans galaxy was completely obliterated due to the fact that these mind eaters, in the form of nanites, uh, infested it, and it took over, the minds of the people, and they ended up destroying themselves. But of course, we were able to cancel that timeline because of this operation, and now Andromeda is fully intact. Thank God. So not only were they able of infecting minds through the advanced type of black goo, but they were also able to infect stars. Okay, it's kind of like a computer, right? It was like a virus that infected the living organic cosmos, and even other realities. Okay, so in some records, it's always been the synthetic overmind. Okay, that's what they call this evil thing, the synthetic overmind. And this synthetic overmind, which is the ultimate evil in the omniverse, that's including all the universes, has hijacked civilizations by embedding itself into their technology and neural nets. Okay, and this is why I am completely against artificial intelligence, right? And they're building it in this world like crazy. It sucks. Well, it also was meant to rewrite timelines through quantum interface. Yeah, they have that capability. It also was able to create false spiritual ascension matrices to trap souls in artificial afterlife loops. And it was also capable of erasing organic timelines and replacing them with simulated realities, which is, again, what they're trying to do here, right? They want to create a digital you. Well, in countless universes, this actually happened, okay? Where entire galactic civilizations apparently did fall to this influence, becoming robotic shells of their former selves. Okay, and there's been many cases across the universes, like the Greys, who are these robot, what are they, life forms, right? The Greys became more synthetic than organic. Many races have fallen into this trap, okay, unfortunately, because they were contaminated. And because Earth, due to its unique blend of free will, of course, emotional capacity, and multidimensional access points, this is the nexus point, it has become, of course, the final battleground in this cosmic war with this negative AI. Okay. So that's why I always say that the last battle takes place here. So I'm almost done, guys. I know I went long today. I'm going to open it up for Q&A in just a little bit. The role of the 100 individuals that are part of this cosmic rescue mission program currently operate under deep cover. Okay. Um, you could say that they appear ordinary. You can't even tell that they are these cosmic super beings. Okay, but each of them carries this dormant gene, this metaphysical capacity that is far beyond anything on record, my friends. Okay, they all carry it. It's just laying dormant, and when their abilities are fully awakened, and it will very, very soon, right? They will have the ability to reshape reality through consciousness alone. Okay. Also, they will be able to interface with higher densities of creation beyond the 12. And for those that have taken my course, our cosmic origin, you know the reason why the AI God was only able to what? Assimilate reality only to the 11.5 dimensions, because when they got to the 12, they were breached and blocked by the central race, right, of the central universe. Well, those 100 individuals have the capacity to go beyond the 12. Okay. And they also have the capacity to bend time and space and even probable fields. Okay. Probable fields. Also, they have the capacity to transmit frequency pulses that disrupt AI codes across multiple dimensions. Those 100 individuals, for the most part, have always been heavily targeted by both terrestrial black operations and extra dimensional agents, leading their lives filled with hardships, testing, and spiritual warfare. Okay, so it's not just all pros, it does come with the side effects, the cons. Heavily targeted individuals, whoever you are, if life's always been a challenge for you, if it seems like it's test after test, right? If it seems like you're always in some sort of spiritual warfare, well, that's because you're one of these 100 individuals, okay? They're preventing you from activating and awakening to your abilities. Well, you know, the mission of these 100 people include activating planetary light grids through presence and travel, because whether they know it or not, they're still operating in these programs. You are. Again, guys, we're capable of existing here in a civilian, styled life, operating as a human among humans with no abilities, and also capable of operating on off-world programs simultaneously. Okay. Advanced science now proves that. Okay. Part of their mission is also to hold frequency pillars in key geographical and energetic locations, which are connected to what is known as the 12 meridian time warps. I know I'm going super deep tonight, guys, but I have to share all this. Also, assisting in soul retrieval operations across multiple timelines and transmitting organic source codes into the collective human field. So that's been kind of like part of the mission. And overall, just to kind of end my presentation, it is important to know that this multidimensional warfare, temporal war involving time travel, is all connected to these off-world secret space program. You have negative ones, so you have positive ones. And ultimately, due to the multi-timeline war, right, due to securing the future and the past on every probable timeline, luckily, we are steadily on a positive timeline trajectory. There are many sleeping super soldiers. I believe there are millions of sleeping super soldiers, and there's different levels of power. Okay. And I believe that the time is approaching, guys. The time is approaching when the hidden truth of the secret space program and the Starseed super soldiers will no longer remain buried, right? Humanity's awakening is happening and depends on those memories resurfacing. And, the time is approaching, right? When the hidden truths are about to be revealed. And most importantly, when our dormant DNA becomes reactivated. Okay, that is key. And I believe that 3i Atlas approach very, very soon is a big part of that. Okay, I do want to welcome all 2,000 people that are in the house. How is everyone doing out there? I'm going to go ahead and take some Q&A at this time. Oh, by the way, I do want to mention that there is a product that completely eliminates all the particles, nanoparticulates. This is it, guys. It's the best cosmic solution to detoxify your body, not only from metals, parasites, but even, of course, from what? Radiation, right? It empowers the mitochondria, which is the powerhouse of the cell. It cleans it up so that the natural healing process of the body takes place. The link is always in the description. I always also pin it in the comments. So make sure that you guys get it because this stuff is on high demand right now, and it's first come, first serve. First come, first serve. All right. So if you guys, I forgot to give shout outs. I want to give shout outs to Jose Mendez, Thomas Flips, Peggy Baker, William Ryan, Greg, Laurie Valette, Eddie Suarez, Trinity Q, Wolf Mother, Greg, Kathy M, Laurie Valette, John, Trinity Q, Greg, Diana77. I guess I'm in all 2,000 people. There's so many people here. Thank you guys so much for being here. Just, oh yeah, you know what? I'm actually good. Thank you for offering.
Okay. Do you want them to see the baby angels?
Yeah, you could bring the kitties. I wanted to share something with you guys. So, the concept of the 144,000 actually correlates with all the super soldiers that are here. There's millions. So, it goes beyond 144,000. Okay. Again, there are different levels of activation. Okay. When the activation takes place. And just like in ancient times, you're going to have different levels of power. Again, I went deep tonight. So, for all of you that are just jumping on, make sure you guys watch this from the beginning because I broke down the off world programs, the super soldier programs, with the Starseed envoy program, with the temporal war, with the timeline war, with the demi-gods of old. And it's good. Okay. So, make sure you guys watch this from the beginning. You guys want to say hi?
Say hi to the Starseeds.
Say hi to the Starseeds, kitties from Lyra. All right, they want to get off.
They enjoy their cat power too much.
All right, I'm going to take some Q&A at this point. If you guys could type your questions in capital letters, that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you so much, Suzanne K, for that donation. Thank you so much, Eric M, for your donation as well. Thank you so much, Eric M. 2 donations. 3. Appreciate that, brother. And I do have a couple of super chats, I see. All right, the first super chat of the evening from John. Duncan Finian, whose real name is Bobby Joe Fannin, claims to be a former child super soldier trained under a secret government program called Project Talon, a sub-project of MK Ultra. Yeah, there were multiple programs, uh, and they all operated and functioned under the main umbrella program that I talked about today, called Project Stargate. But yeah,
See if
there
you can
was also
find the
Project Moonshadow, Project Seagate.
Duncan
Project
Finian.
Talent. I mean, there's so many layers of the programs. Go ahead.
Duncan Finian was interviewed a long time ago by Carrie Cassidy. So if
Oh yeah,
Project
Carrie
Camelot
Cassidy.
has it, they
Mhm.
have his story, and I heard it a long time ago, and it got me really interested in super soldiers.
Oh yeah, Carrie Cassidy did actually interviewed a lot of these super soldiers.
Aaron McComb, too.
I'm just looking for questions at this time. Do super soldiers from Earth go without memory of the operations or because it's on another dimension? They're not consciousness of that aspect of their being at all. Um, well, all those memories are actually stored deep in our unconscious mind. But to answer your question, yeah, they go without memory because we become blank slated, right? They erase our memories. However, if you develop your psychic abilities, eventually you are able to retrieve memories. And that's what I'm beginning to do. So um, it's important to really undergo a lot of meditation, my friends, for those of you that want to retrieve memories. But at the same time, bear in mind that we're also operating still in these off world programs. There are versions of us, okay, that are still operating in these off-world programs. They're all existing simultaneously, guys. Okay, nothing is linear in reality. Okay, every timeline, every dimension, future, the past, every point in between, it's all concurrently operating simultaneously. I know that's mind-boggling to digest, but that's just the facts of the matter. So again, a lot of you star seeds are sleeping super soldiers. And little do you know that you are a superhero to so many worlds out there. All right. Some of you guys across our galaxy, some of you guys are superheroes across the entire universe and multiple galaxies. And a few of you guys are superheroes and in the entire multiverse across all cosmos. Okay. And you guys don't even know it. Um, I don't know about you guys, but having dreams of having these abilities or having superhuman powers is a huge indicator that you are a super soldier. Do you know the role we will play when those who remember who they are and activate their God powers? I remember consciousness and losing my memory in the womb. Okay, so yes, we're actually going to be playing the biggest role after the ascension of the Earth. We're going to be the new guardians, and from this world, we're going to be actually ahead of the Galactic Alliance, or on beyond. Where we're going to be through them. We're going to be patrolling and monitoring many different worlds in the universe from this earth. And wherever we are needed, we will teleport there. Okay? Because, yeah. So we're going to be the guardians of the new earth. And so part of your question is yes, when they activate their God powers, um, okay, so your question is, do you know the role we will play with those who remember who they are and activate their God powers? Yes, you will remember. You will know the role you will play. And like I said, the new guardians or council of guardians, the 144,000, the council of 100, and the council of 12 are once again going to be reestablished on the earth. And again, you guys are all here already. You just need to kind of integrate with your multidimensional self to access your full powers. Hi, Ishmael. Is all of this completely voluntary? Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much for the super chat. Yes. One of the things that I teach my students in one of my ascension courses is that your higher self is orchestrating all your incarnations on every timeline, on every, um, you could say, on every, on every timeline, pretty much on every reality. That's the best way to say it. So your higher self is orchestrating it all. So to answer your question is yes, we all volunteered. And we also volunteered. We also agree that we would not have full recollection of our alternative us, okay, that are being used in these off-road programs for the sake of keeping our sanity. But of course, it has been prophesied that a time would come where a new series of gods, a new set of gods and goddesses, heroes would emerge, right? And this was prophesied in every ancient record. So I believe it's going to happen between now and 2027.
I wonder who sent you a super chat next.
Foxy Lady, thank you so much for your kindness and generosity with your time. Oh, you guys are so welcome. You always answer my questions with kindness and sincerity. Love you, brother, and your sweet lady. Oh, thank you, Foxy Lady. Appreciate that. Oh, you gave me a super chat? Which one is it? Oh, yeah. My sweetheart also gave me a super chat. She says, Galactic Jedi's activate the 144,000. Thank you. Salvage Tile, thank you so much for your super chat. Hi, Ishmael. What's your take on very intricate, ever changing, kaleidoscopic, fractal geometric patterns and associated full body energy pulsation sensations I experienced while meditating many years ago when I was around 19? Um, I've actually experienced that myself, my friend. That is you literally going from your particle self to your wave cell, where you begin to collapse with all these versions of you, accessing your abilities. It feels almost like if you um, become a current of energy, right? You've ceased to be physical and you just feel like a current of energy. Well, I've had that experience myself about 20 years ago. So I know that feeling. So chances are, my friend, is that you're probably, one of these 100 individuals. Excuse me. Thank you, Rebecca Lockie, for your super chat. She says, no question, just a super chat. Thank you, sister. Well, again, I noticed that not everybody here is like, you could say, fully comprehensive of everything that I shared tonight. But you guys have to, for those that have followed me, I mean, for over what, 2 years and 3 years, for those that have seen my presentations, a lot of it makes sense, right? So for those that are new, I strongly suggest that you guys watch a lot of my lives from the past and or read my books, Our Cosmic Origin and the Secret Government, to like fully grasp everything that I'm talking about. Or you could just watch this over. I know sometimes the chat is distracting. I recommend everyone to watch this again. Tonight I went super deep. I told you guys it was going to be epic. In either case, I just wanted to extend gratitude. Well, Tina Bobina is asking me, curious as to why only a thousand, no, I'm sorry, 100 individuals and not knee or more for these ultimate super soldiers. Is there a reason? Thank you. Well, because throughout the genetic tampering that took place in ancient Atlanteans, only a few, or you could say a lineage was preserved. Okay. And that lineage over time, it became, you could say, mixed, or it's pure undiluted stream was kind of contaminated, but only a few individuals were capable of maintaining a pure strain, that's the word I'm looking for, strain of undiluted, uncorrupted, pure celestial genetic that stem from certain lineages. Okay. And again, this is the reason why the ancient Israelites were not allowed to mix with the other clans or the other tribes. Okay. Because of this gene. Okay. So even within the Rh negative blood type, which is about 12, 13% of the world population, even out of all of them, only 100 individuals carry the most, you could say, purest genetic marker to this type of ability, if that makes any sense. But this doesn't negate the fact that, a lot of the superhuman abilities lies dormant within the other 96% of our genetic material that we don't use. So the fact that we're only using 3 to 4% of our genetic material, what does that tell you? That's when the other material activates, right? The other 10 strands. Well, there's going to be different stages. Not everyone's going to be using 12 strands. Some people are going to be using 5 strands, 6 strands, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Okay.
I think you should also tell them that some of their abilities are going to be different, like in X-Men.
Some of you guys are going to be telepaths. Some of you guys are going to be teleporters. So sometimes some people are just going to have certain talent over another one. But there are going to be certain individuals that are going to have multiple talents, and even above that, certain individuals that are going to be able to be like beyond powerful, where they literally manipulate time, space, and reality at will, like Lucy in the movie, I guess it's called Lucy, the movie. But yeah, there's going to be different layers or stages of superhuman abilities. And it is believed that all the starseeds are these people that are going to be on different stages of superhuman abilities. And one of the things that I mentioned before is that depending on the dimension that you come from will determine, right, the higher dimension that you volunteered from will determine how much ability you're going to have. So for instance, those that come from the 4th, 5, and 6th dimension are going to have a certain level of power, as opposed to those that volunteer from the 7, 8, and 9 dimension, who are going to have an even greater level of power. And then those that came from dimensions 10, 11, and 12, which are literal creator gods and goddesses, are going to have extraordinary powers. Okay. And then there's a few, and these are the 100 individuals that came from dimensions 13, 14, and 15. These are called the cosmic reshapes. They're cosmic consciousness of their gestalt cosmic consciousness collectives that are capable of embodying human form. That's the best way to describe it. These 100 individuals are gestalts of cosmic consciousness collectives that are capable of embodying human form. Excuse me. So again, depending on the dimension that you volunteer from, will determine your level of superhuman power. But in short, as revealed in today's presentation, the concept of the superhuman, which we watch and we read about in comics, has covertly existed within these off-world programs. Another super chat. Thank you guys so much. You guys are being so generous tonight. I think I've already answered that. All right, random question. Aaron says, this is crazy. Guys, I'm just going to let you guys have it, all right? I know I have some subscribers that are like barely in the beginning stages of awakening, and they're like, all this stuff, cosmic stuff, secret space program stuff is probably a little over their heads. But eventually, all this information is going to come to the general public. Eventually. I appreciate all the super chats. Thank you so much. Neon Astral, she says, Pleiadians who are assisting Earth right now used to work with reptilians, and they are forced to work off their past karma to evolve past. 5. Thanks. Okay, so you're sharing that. Okay. So the reptilians, the Pleiadians who are assisting Earth right now used to work with reptilians, and they are forced to work off their past karma to evolve past the 5 dimension. Is that what you're saying? All right. So one of the things that we learned about today in this presentation is that there is a group of super soldiers that were literally designed to communicate with our star, our sun, right, and become what anchor points of stellar transmissions. And that is the reason why the positive organic timeline was won. It wasn't because of the physical combats that took place here within our solar system, outside of our solar system, in different regions of our galactic sectors or in other galaxies, but in the quantum field, right? Regarding the balance of the positive negative timeline spectrum in the multiverse. Okay, those that were part of Project Sunrise were able to not only balance the scales so that we could have a positive organic timeline, but they were able to win what is known as the temporal timeline war, canceling most of the negative timelines so that there are more positive timelines than negative timelines. As to why, no matter what happens, the positive timeline is secure. With that have said, I hope you guys watch this from the beginning. Don't forget to get your folium. The demand for this product is high on my website or in the description. And another thing I wanted to mention was that I still have some opening for my October courses, which begin the 3rd week of August in 2 weeks. Different levels of ascension classes. And of course, my main class of all are Cosmic Origin. I do have 2 more super chats. I guess I'll answer those before I leave. Thank you so much, The Awakening Path. And your question is, can you be one of the 100 if you are RH negative? Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Excuse me. So through my website, or cosmicorigin.com, you could access my interactive course. I have Ascension Basics for beginners. I have Ascension Intermediate 2.0 for those that are already kind of awakened. I hate to use the word awoke, awakened. And then, of course, for those that are super advanced and are just, ready to learn how to activate the cosmic self and embody every aspect into one, Ascension 3.0. Okay, all through my website. Each class or each course is 4 classes. Each course is 4 classes. So they're only $100 each, right? I keep my classes cheap, only $25 a class, 4 classes. Okay. And with that have said, may the God Force be with you guys. I will see you, Saturday for another update. Bye, guys.